Hi, everyone, and welcome along to episode 2 of The Phoenix Way. Delighted to be joined by Luton Phoenix manager, Mr. Asif Khan. Asif, good evening to you. How's it going, boss?
Evening, bro. How you doing? You all right?
I'm good. Thank you for asking. Obviously, before we get started with episode 2, just want to thank everyone out there that's taken their time to subscribe to the channel already and that's checked out our content. We really appreciate it. If you want to know more about our football club, please feel free to follow us on all of the social media platforms. The links are in the description below. And if you haven't already, please make sure you hit that subscribe button. And if you want to listen to any of our episodes of The Phoenix Way, the links below are in the descriptions for the audio platforms, including Pocket Casts, Google iTunes, and of course the main one, Spotify. Welcome to episode 2. Today, we're going to be discussing a very sensitive topic in football, which is racism in grassroots football. Asif, we've been in grassroots football for a very, very long time now. We've had a few incidents in terms of racism. We all know how high racism is today in the game of football. And, the measurements that teams are taking, the knee before the game, you've seen how people are trying their best to get rid of racism in the sport. But let's start off with our background. Obviously, we've got a multicultural team. Just talk to us a bit about the background of the Luton Phoenix team.
Yes, our team's predominantly Asian. If you looked at us, you'd say we're an Asian team, but that's not through like any choice of our own. It's just happened that way. But we've always been very welcoming. We've had players, of all colours playing for us. And players that have played for us of different colours that are still like a part of our team. We've got a few people that no longer play for us, but they're still in our group, and we still call them friends, and we'll see them outside of football and that, and keep in touch. So, but our team itself, if you looked at us, we're an Asian team. I don't think we've always been like that. We've always had a good mix. I'm not sure why it is. I mean, we're very welcoming. We have pre-seasons and training sessions where we're open. It's an open invitation. But yeah, our team is predominantly an Asian team.
You've obviously played with a number of teams over the years in terms of Sunday League football, grassroots football. I remember going back to your early ages when you used to play for the White Swan. I believe it was the under 18s, and then obviously you had MYA and obviously Luton Phoenix. I mean, just how on a percentage, how often is this issue, i.e. racism, occurring in grassroots football? And why do you think it's, within the last year or so, why do you think people have started taking these routes now to start getting rid of it? Why has it taken so long?
I think the problem is it's like echoed at the highest level, right? So you see in the Premier League and that, but when you filter it down to grassroots football, there's nothing. The message doesn't filter down to right to the bottom, to us playing on, Sunday League, and that's the problem. Like you said, we've had a few incidents ourselves over the last probably 18 months. It's happened to us 2 or 3 times, and it's not just Asian teams it happens to. We're quite close with other teams. We know teams that are of like a predominantly a white team, and they've had racial problems. So it's not just pointed at or Asians are just singled out. This is happening to people of every color. And why it's happening? It's because people ain't being educated enough. We're going to talk about what happened with our thing, and then people will get an idea of why this thing keeps happening.
When we look at the issue of racism in football, what, with the routes and the steps that people are taking, do you think it's been a successful path in terms of getting rid of racism out of the sport, or do you think we're a long way away off from getting rid of racism in football? Not just in football, but any sport.
I think we're a long way. They're having problems getting it, eradicated at the highest level. How's it going to happen at the lowest level? And the worrying thing is it's probably filtering down to the younger ages. It's probably happening. I've spoken to people that that run kids teams, and they've told me that it's happening. Parents are shouting racial abuse at referees and that. So it's getting worse, if anything, and it is going to get a lot worse before it gets any better.
Before we obviously move on into the incidents that have happened with us in the past, you mentioned obviously your little son, my little nephew, you started getting him into football now. You're saying a lot more of the teens are going into Sunday League football. But these issues such as racism, do you think with how it is today in the sport, do you think that this is one of the main reasons why we're struggling to see many youngsters go into grassroots football, i.e. Sunday League, midweek footballs, football like that? Do you think this is why kids these days are sort of, especially Asian kids, are sort of not taking football as an activity or a part of their life?
Where's our role models? Where's the Asians, where's the British Asians that have gone on to do, become superstars? I know there's, a handful, maybe 2 or 3 in the Premier League, but other than that, we don't see any. So where's the success story? There's not many. So, I can understand why people, when they maybe shy away from football now, because there's not that role model to look up to and think, oh, I can be like him. He's done it, so I can. The youth now are starting to turn to boxing, and that, if you think about it, because boxing, you've got a lot more British Asians that are fighting at a high level. So yeah, I think we're a long way behind when it comes to football.
What can local communities, local councillors, what can they do to make sure? I mean, as you just said, lots of British Asians are going into boxing, and it's a good thing. We've seen what boxing did for the likes of Amir Khan. We've got good young fighters coming up now, but what can we do? People that have been in grassroots football for a very long time, sort of help the younger generation come into the sport and, see football as a potential career path.
Just keep going, keep doing what we're doing, just not giving up, putting the message out there that, football is something positive to do. You don't have to play at the highest level to enjoy it, and just keep doing, man. There's a lot of teams out there that are doing a lot of good things, but they don't get the recognition, they don't get the exposure. So us doing channels like this and episodes like this, it highlights the fact that there is positive, even if you're playing at a low level. We've seen it with ourselves. We've got players and had players that if they weren't playing football, who knows what they'd be doing. So, it's our job to highlight that and to show that football is a positive thing.
Very well said, Asif. And yeah, listen, I agree with you. We want to see as many, not just Asians, but all the majority of the young generation go into grassroots football, because, going into Luton Phoenix is one of the best things I ever did. I made a lot of friends out of it, just like yourself. I've had some great experiences, and the last 10 years playing Sunday League football, we've had some bad times, but we've also had some pretty good times that we can look back on and say, do you know what, wish you could roll back the years and relive it again. Let's talk about an incident that occurred earlier on at the start of last season. What did our team have to go through? Just explain it to the people that are obviously going to be watching this video. You're the manager of the club, and this is an incident that we all felt that we were let down massively by the Football Association.
Yeah, so player of ours was racially abused. There's no way, no other way of saying it. And we reported it. We went into lockdown, so everything was kind of delayed. We had a hearing with the National FA, and then from there on, it was just a shambles. We were let down massively by the FA. We were made out to be the people that have done wrong, and in the end, the person that was charged was found not guilty, not proven, and the reasoning behind it was pathetic. The technicality really is what they found this person not guilty of, and that's the thing that hurts the most. The FA that at the time were shouting very loud about racism and stamping out of football. They done everything possible to make it out that we were lying, and that hurt me massively, because my job as I know people say it's just a Sunday League team, but my job as a manager is to make sure that the players are protected. And this was one time I feel like we definitely would be protected, because we done everything the right way. We ticked all the boxes. We didn't kick off about it. You know, we reported it, we went through the right channels, and still we were told in the end, nope, you're wrong. Nope, you're lying. So massive letdown, massive wake-up call for me as well, because I done things wrong in the lead up to it. You know, I don't think I prepared as well as I should have. But the main thing is the FA, they let us down massively.
Last year during the pandemic, just before the football season began, there was an incident in America where a policeman, you know, abused his power, abused his position of authority. Unfortunately, you know, George Floyd was, you know, horrifically murdered. And then after that, a lot of people decided to take measurements, such as taking the knee. You know, people around football, captains from the Premier League decided to take the next step. It seemed like there was a real togetherness towards the end of last season, especially after the pandemic and, of course, the incident occurring, George Floyd. Going into the whole trial with the FA, did you feel after what had happened previously before the incident with Luton Phoenix that you would get the backing and the support that you need from the FA?
We had zero support whatsoever. So we went into that thinking, listen, this is as clear as day. You know, we've done everything right. We've reported to the referee, we've reported to the league, we've got witnesses, people have heard it. We had no reason to think that this was going to go any other way than this person to be found guilty. And that's what we wanted, because I sent an email to the FA and to the league when this happened. I said, I don't want this guy to be punished or whatever. Just educate this person, because unfortunately in this world, he might say something similar to what was said and the outcome might not be the same. You know, this guy could get hurt, you know, anything could happen. Just educate him. That's what we asked for. And the FA offered us no support whatsoever. The person in question that was racially abused never received a phone call, an email to say, listen, we're sorry for what's happened. We're here if you need any support or anything. And then the trial itself was, I call it a trial, but the hearing itself was an absolute joke. You know, it was in front of this is all done online, it was in front of a panel, and it was very clear and obvious from the beginning that they were finding any excuse to find holes in what we were saying. And then the main thing, the main thing for me was when they provided their written reasons as to why they found this person not guilty. One of the reasons they said is because we never had witnesses. And I've got emails and had emails for months leading up to say, there's 5 people that have heard it. They want to be part of the hearing. Please put them down. And then in the end, they weren't called, but they used that as a reason as to why this person was found not guilty. So they let us down massively. And I was, after it, I went on a mad rampage to try and get answers. And they just kept shutting me down. This is the local FA and the national FA shutting me down time and time again. And in the end, I just gave up, because what's the point? You know, you shouldn't have to fight for something like that. And yeah, I just gave up.
When you attended this meeting with the FA, you said at the time that you felt like you was turning up as it was you that was at fault. You never received that support. Just talk to me about being there at the time. What was it like? What sort of vibe, what sort of a feeling were you getting from the FA at the time?
Straight away, you knew that these guys were they weren't interested in what I was saying. They were just trying to pick holes in what the person who received the abuse said, trying to pick holes in his story. And they weren't interested in anything I had to say. It was what I wasn't saying. And I could have easily said a lot of things, but I stuck to the truth because, what's the point in lying? There's no point in lying whatsoever. And the truth was this person racially abused my player. But these guys didn't want to know. The vibe was, from the beginning, was we're going to do everything we can to find this person not guilty. And it's funny because it was all done online, right? So myself was first, and the guy that was racially abused, he was second. And he was messaging me whilst it was happening, saying, like, these lot are just trying to pick everything up. We were going back and forth because we couldn't believe it. So it was no surprise when we got the verdict that the guy was found not proven.
When the verdict came in, How did you feel? What was your initial thinking? I mean, we spoke about this, and I remember your reaction to it. I remember how people in and around the team. I remember people outside how they stepped up. They reshared posts, the amount of retweets we were getting. People were trying to back us, but the one backing you wanted was from the main governing body itself in the FA. How did you feel when the verdict was given, not guilty? And what would your message now be to the FA? Because if this has happened once, it could easily happen again. We hope it doesn't happen again, but the likelihood is that without actual evidence, the FA, which they were asking for, was to say that the FA won't, back a team if this happens again in the future.
So in answer to how I felt was, like I said, let down massively. I was honestly, I was really upset, or seriously, proper upset, because I didn't feel it was right. I mean, we're not just talking about football here. We're just talking about, normal values of life. And when you're told that, that you're wrong for standing up and for something, it's hard to take. So and like you said as well, this happened before, right? So we had an incident a year before that where similar thing happened, and I, as the manager, decided to take the team off the pitch, and we actually got charged for it. We got charged for abandoning the game. So this time it happened. We done the right things. We ticked all the boxes. We stayed on the pitch. We reported to the referee. We reported to the manager afterwards. We reported to the league. Reported to the FA, and still in the end we were wrong. So what do we do when it happens again? Because I've always told you guys, my players, that if it ever happens, look, there's a protocol to follow. We've got to do it. We've got to do it the right way. But if it happens again, why are my players going to have any confidence in that system when it hasn't worked? And who am I to control, 11 grown men in someone racially abusing them? It's hard for me. And, this is what the FA have pushed everyone to. And people that have watched our videos and seen this and heard our story, they think the exact same thing. They know we've been let down, and they will probably do the same thing as well.
Similar incident happened with the same team towards another team.
Yeah.
Did you not think at that time, well, hold on, surely now the same team's name has been brought up again with another team that plays in the league as us? Did that not make you think, wait, hold on a second, this team has now done it more than once. They've been reported more than once. Surely now the FA have to act upon this. They didn't. Are you surprised that with obviously what's happened with this incident, not only with our team, but also the other team? We're not going to, obviously say the team's name, but are you surprised that teams are still competing in this league right now? Because this has happened more than once. When do you think teams like, ourselves, at what point do we say enough is enough? And what's the next step that we take to stop this from happening again?
So we were gonna. So my plan was if we played this team again, which we were due to, but then obviously the season got voided. We weren't going to play them, and I didn't tell anyone this, but I wasn't planning on playing them because I couldn't guarantee the game would end well for anyone because of the emotions and that, and two, I don't feel like they deserve to be on the same pitch as us. So we weren't going to play that team anyway. But in answer to a question about who they deserve to play, listen, you can't just have one or two idiots ruin everyone else's, game. I'm pretty sure the rest of them were sound, yeah. The rest of them, we had our back and forth with this team, and so did the other team. But the majority of them, they were really good footballing players, youngsters. But it's a shame that nothing was done by the FA and by the team itself. If it happened the other way around and one of my players racially abused someone and it was that blatant, they would never play for us again. They would not be anywhere near our team. So that never happened for the other team. So, what can you do? They carried on playing. And like I said, it's going to take probably one time for them to do it to a team that ain't going to stick to protocol. And then maybe they'll learn the lesson. I hope that doesn't happen, but I can honestly see that happening.
Being manager of Luton Phoenix Football Club, you're going into your third season now. One thing I've noticed, obviously, because I play as well for Luton Phoenix, I've been here for a long time as well, is that we've got a good relationship with other teams. We speak to the other teams' managers via social media. We interact with them on Twitter. You know some of the managers quite well. one good thing about this whole incident, and I must say, is that the support we were shown from other managers in our same league was brilliant. Do you not think that in future, if this does happen again, and we hope it doesn't happen, because we don't want to see a team, someone from a different team, go through what one of our players had to go through? Do you not think that the next step could be is for all managers to get together as a pact, as a group, and say this is where we put our foot down? And if you get, let's say, the league is made of 12 teams, but you've got 11 managers that are refusing to, accept decisions such as the one that we got with this whole racial abuse. Do you not think that that is the right step to take? Managers coming together as one, not just in our league, but also for all entire grassroots football. Them joining forces is the right step to take and stop racial abuse from happening. Do you not think that that is a potential step that we need to be thinking of taking next?
Maybe, yeah. I mean, that's a good point, because, like you said, we had a lot of teams reach out to us and offer their support, because they see the work we're doing, and we recognize the work they're doing. I've got a good relationship with most teams, and that's because we acknowledge how hard of a job it is to run a team. But really, I don't think it should be on us to make that kind of decision. This should be on the FA. Remember, we have the league and then the FA. The league are governed by the FA, so any decision they make is they have to run by the FA, and the FA are not willing to make that kind of decision. So maybe it might take something like that, or maybe it might take someone lashing out and hitting out for them to understand that this issue is a real issue. This issue happens every Sunday. This issue happens with under 16s, under 14s, under 12s. And it's, when is it going to end? When is someone going to take a stand for it? We reached out to a lot of people, right, over all this. And listen, some people were willing to help, other people were reluctant to help, other people were reluctant to put their name out there and associate themselves with it, which I can understand. But at the same time, it did piss me off a bit, if I'm being honest. But I've learned from it, and I think we've all learned from it as a team. We'll talk about it definitely as a team, because we're going to go into the next season, and if it happens again, we need to understand what we do. So we learn from these things, and we just hope they don't happen again. But I can't see that happening.
Well, very tough topic to discuss, obviously, racism in grassroots football. And obviously, one of the worrying things for me is, as mentioned at the start of this episode, is you got your kids that are slowly taking up football now. Hopefully one day I'd want to put my kids into football. But the worrying thing for me is obviously the racial abuse topic. And it's a topic that, it's a topic that there's no end outcome to. And unfortunately, racism is a thing in all sports that just never seems to go away. Final question, Asif. A lot of people, especially professional athletes, are now taking the step to remove themselves from social media due to a lot of hate that they receive online. Can you see that? Can you see that benefiting from this? From not only is it happening on the pitch, it's also happening online. Can you see that helping in the future?
I think it's great that the world-class professionals and the elite level footballers and sports people are making a stand. But what does that do for us? This whole Black Lives Matter movement, it's all advertised on TV and every game and that. But what does it do for the grassroots level? I think we have to sort this out ourselves. I think managers have to take care amongst themselves that if they've got a player that's potentially racist or causing issues, they need to sort that out themselves. I don't stand for any of that. If any of my players were like that, like I said, they wouldn't play for us. I've had players before which have caused me issues and caused us issues, and they've not played for us again. So I think we have to make the stand, and we have to make them decisions. It's the only way it's going to work, because we're not going to get any help from anyone. Because unfortunately, the FA, they're quick to hand out fines. You get a yellow card, you're paying. It goes up every year from £15 to £20. You get a red card, it's £40. Even these hearings that we had to pay for. To appeal it, we had to pay for it. It's all about money when it comes to the FA. And that's the bottom line. So they're not going to want to stick their neck out and and do anything controversial. So we're going to have to do it ourselves.
Shocking, as you said. You had to pay for an appeal. You turned up, and it felt like you was the one at fault. It is. I mean, to be honest with you, when the original decision was made, and when you told me about how when you turned up to this meeting online, it just felt like the finger was being pointed at you. It felt like you was the one that was at fault. And I think that's obviously where for me the problem lies. Is at the time when obviously we had the Black Lives Matter, we had players taking the knee. That's when you really thought, okay, now things are going in the right direction. But this incident happens with us, and you just more or less get told, or you more or less get pushed away, no help, and you get made out to feel like you're the one at fault. I think that's the massive eye opener, and I do hope people will listen to this, and we can take those right steps, and we can remove racial abuse from not just football, but also from any sports, because we've got a lot of kids playing football nowadays, and the last thing we want to see is the younger generation have to go through this abuse, because it's off-putting. And I just hope people will listen to this video and realize what we've had to go through as a team, and obviously what the other team in the league had to go through as well, because let's remember there's also other victims that have gone through exactly what we've gone through. And I hope that this video is heard, and I hope we can remove, bigotry. We can remove racism just completely out of the sport. Asif, obviously that's all we've got time for today on episode 2. Floor's all yours. What have you got to say to the people out there if they haven't already?
Well, it's like, subscribe, and turn on the bell. I think I'm getting used to this now. But yeah, if you subscribe to our videos, turn the notifications on. We've got some good content coming up. We've got some good ideas. We're starting our pre-season soon, so we'll have footage of the team. We'll start talking football soon with the Euros coming up, and my boy Trent getting in the squad. So yeah, we've got some good things lined up.
100%. And of course, like I said, if people want to get to know more about our football club, if they want to get involved with our football club, the social media links are going to be in the description below. If people out there can't play football, but they like watching football, please feel free to turn up and show us your support. We can definitely use a huge fan base, and we've got some good footballers that could use some good footballing chance as well. Asif, manager of Luton Phoenix, thank you very much for your time as always. Good speaking to you. Looking forward to doing that Euro 2020 preview. And again, to the people out there, thank you very much for your time. Like, subscribe, and comment. Follow on all the social media platforms. And thank you for listening to episode 2 of The Phoenix Way.